Good morning. My name is Linda Kiome, and I want to take this opportunity to welcome you for your interview session. Karibu sana.
Thank you. Asante.
Bwana Athman, jambo.
Salama.
Naitwa Andrew Tanui, mwanachama wa chopo hili la uteuzi na karibu.
Asante.
Good morning, Mr. Athman.
Morning.
Caroline Kituku, karibu.
Asante.
Good morning, Said.
Morning, Prof.
My name is Adam Solo, a member of this selection panel.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
My name is Nicodemus Bore.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
My name is Fatuma Ali Saman, a member of the panel. Please feel welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good morning, Mr. Mutwana.
Thank
Na
you, Balozi.
karibu sana.
Thank you.
My name is Koki Muli Grinyo, and I'm a member of the panel.
Thank you.
Good morning, Said.
Morning.
My name is Evans Misati.
Thank you.
I'm a member of the selection panel, and we welcome you.
Asante.
We now come to you, sir, and we ask that you introduce yourself, highlight those things in your profile that you think are significant for us to note, but also important for the role you have applied for. Let us know if you belong to if you're a member of any professional group, and if you have received any award in the course of your career and life. Kindly proceed. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and the panelists, and thank you for providing me this opportunity. I will just, in the time given, handle it in three parts. First of all, I do have a master's in planning, regional and urban planning, that I think would be relevant to this particular assignment. I do have a degree in building economics, and I'm a registered surveyor. Therefore, that does bring attributes of quantitative analysis and quite a bit of also legal drafting and interpretation. I attended the Saraheboy Center, known for character building, and I come from Voi, where I attended the primary school. Apart from that, my career spans three sectors. I began as a professional in the conserving profession, working for one of the largest firms, and then went to private practice. During which period, then there was a clamor for reforms, and belonging from one of the associations, the Architectural Associations of Kenya, which is a member of the APSEA, where CPA Tanui comes from. We engaged the reform movement at that time. So as a young professional, I did engage in the reform movement at that time. And that took me to what I would call the people sector, the development sector. So I worked in the development sector, took major institutions. One was Northern Aid, at that time the largest institution working for Northern Kenya. And later on I became the chief executive of a large consortium called the Consortium for the Empowerment and Development of Marginalized Communities, a consortium of 46 organizations representing the minorities, the urban slum dwellers, and the hunter-gatherers, through which again we engaged in the reform movement. I'll come back to that period. And then I joined the government 2008 as a Secretary for Culture, and that was just 2 years before the new constitution. So I did participate at that particular moment in the reform movement from a public sector perspective, and pushed some of the articles that are there. And then I had my first tour of the housing department as a house secretary, where I led the initiative on the housing policy and the first housing survey for Kenya, that sees what we are now currently witnessing. And then I moved to the mining sector as a mining secretary, and that was following the famous Golden Bag scandal. So we restructured together with the rest from a policy perspective and legal and regulations, what you currently see in the mining sector. At that time, I was one of the drivers. And then from mining, I went to the tourism sector for perhaps the largest period I've served, because I was requested by that time to move the sector. And some of the reforms that did, particularly during the COVID period, is what is the result we're seeing now, the upcoming with the tourism sector. I rejoined or called to this as a housing secretary to 2023, and I'm currently one of the leaders for the affordable housing program, which I believe is one of the most transformative program for our country. What I would want to say is that when I was in the people sector, I also had the privilege to be one of the people that led to the formation of what was known as the Ufungamano Initiative. Very few people are aware that that initiative was started by two women, the late Honorable Phoebe Asio and Julia Ojiambo. So at that time, the country was at a standstill following the stalled review process. So these two nationalistic ladies came to the religious sector. I was part of it. And they requested the religious community to intervene at that moment. So together with them, we went to approach then the late Bishop Kitari, the late Bishop Mwananzeki, Bishop Ndamburi, and the Muslim leadership, Professor Abdul Ghafur Said. And the Ufungamano Initiative was born. And as we are all aware, the Ufungamano Initiative was the precursor to the IPPG and the IPPG reforms that took place at that moment. And then, of course, in the same period, because the religious community was getting together, then we went further to establish what is now known as the Interreligious Council of Kenya, again, which has played a very major role, and some of the panelists here represent that. So I believe in that people sector, it did provide me with needed skills, consensus building, conflict resolution, and trying to reach a national consensus, which is there. I'm a member of the Architectural Association of Kenya. I'm registered with the Board of Registration for Architects and Conservators. I'm a member of Kenya Institute of Management. I've been very privileged to get 4 awards in the way I have served. I've been a very long-standing member of the St. John Ambulance, at one stage as a volunteer, and at one stage I was its CEO. So I was awarded by the Queen as a serving brother of St. John Ambulance. As a young person in school, I got the highest award in scouting. That time it was called the Lion Scout, or now it's called the Simba Badge. And the President's Award Scheme, I got the bronze, silver, and gold award. And in 2008, the President gave me an award, an honor of the Elder of Burning Spear. Interesting, that was not for the work I was doing in government, because I just joined government. It is for the work that I had done in the people sector. So my citation for the Elder of the Burning Spear was for the work that I had done prior to joining government. So, Mr. Chairman, I think that for this particular privileged position, if I was chosen, I bring skills of consensus building, skills of planning, skills of resilience in character, and skills of being the ability to think beyond self. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Where would you want to leave a very promising sector housing secretary to become a commissioner?
I think, Mr. Chairman, I feel that my period, and as I spoke, you realize that the work I did in the people sector was actually unpaid for work, apart from where I was being employed. I think the commission is what gives the biggest promise for the realization of the sovereignty of the people. And I think that at this moment in time, it will be good for me to make a contribution towards that particular, this particular institution. Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Linda, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Said, you have indicated that, and rightly so, you serve as a housing secretary in the Ministry of Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development. Now, what skills, no, actually, if you're appointed as a member, what relevant experience, because you've already talked about the skills that you have as you were introducing yourself, what relevant experience do you bring to the table as an IEBC commissioner?
Thank you very much for the question. I think the experience, first of all, I give is in terms of leadership, policy. I have been in the policy domain for the last 15 years. Policy generation, policy formulation, and policy implementation, the skill that is needed at this moment in time. And policy, of course, it goes to both constitutional policy, legislative, and regulative. So that's one skill that I bring. And we have served also leadership away from management. I've served in top leadership positions, leading institutions, leading departments. I think that experience spanning over 20 years will be useful to this particular this position. Thank you.
Are you a team leader or a team player?
I think both, because when you are a leader, you lead people, you inspire people towards a given objective, but you have to be a team player. You have to demonstrate the fact. So I'm both a team player when I'm not leading. And as a commissioner, you are really a team player because there's a leader, but some stage leadership qualities will be called upon to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Said, and I wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, I want to ask Caroline Kituku to ask you some questions. Carol, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Fman. The dispute resolution mechanisms of IBC. You see, you are a member of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, right? So you know something about dispute resolution. So what are the key areas that IBC normally gets involved in on disputes?
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Kituku, for the question. I think mainly IBC gets involved in dispute resolutions arising from political parties, disputes that arise from political parties in terms of nomination of candidates, either for the elections or for the party lists that are there. So mainly that will be but those disputes, of course, as per the law and constitution, excludes election petitions and disputes arising after the elections. But the main disputes are largely contestation on party nomination and contestation on a members list, and also, of course, when I don't know whether that's a dispute or not, on issues of registration of members. Yes.
That I think is more of a complaint, complaints on
Yeah.
voter registration.
Yeah.
So, the nomination disputes, as you say, at what point does IBC get involved? And what is the mandate of the IBC in settling nomination disputes?
I think the dispute for parties, the IBC will get involved at the stage whereby they have exhausted the party mechanism of dispute resolution, and then they have come forward to IBC. That will be the stage in which the IBC will get involved, but they must exhaust the mechanisms within the different political parties.
So let's go back to the petitions, the election petitions. You rightly said that IBC does not have mandate or the jurisdiction to deal with such disputes. So normally they go to the court process. So what can you, from the two presidential petitions that have been there, 2017, 2022, what are the main things that we get to see from how the court conducted that, and what lessons do we draw from them?
Presidential.
Yes, in regard to the mandate of IBC to resolve disputes.
Presidential or generally?
Presidential, the two of them, 17 and 2022.
Yeah, I think from the two elections that came in, as far as the mandate of IBC is concerned, what came through that was really the adherence to the constitutional principles, which was the courts went very deep into the interpretation about whether the IBC responded to the issues of accuracy, issues of verification, issues of transparency, for those, and the court also questioned IBC about its procedures and its processes in the handling of those elections. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. I wish you well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to invite Koki Muli to ask you some questions. Madam Koki, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Mr. Mutwana, I know it sounds funny calling you that, Said Athman. Voter education is very important in the process of elections, but it's very special with regard to IEBC because it is very much aligned with what IEBC does. However, IEBC has not been very successful in reaching out to marginalized communities and marginalized people, including women, persons with disability, marginalized regions of Kenya, youth, who are the majority of potential voters and voters in Kenya. If you become a member of the IEBC, you will have to address this comprehensively and almost immediately. So can you think of innovative voter education programs that will target these marginalized communities? Just list them and then say, for example, how they will sustainably and effectively reach these marginalized communities.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I think, again, voter education is one of the most undeserved and unserved areas of within our electoral cycles with the consequences that we have seen, and more so for the marginalized communities. Indeed, within the survey that took place, people did mention about voter education as one of the key interventions that requires to be done with the incoming commission. For the marginalized communities, first of all, voter education, although it is supposed to be a continuous exercise, it is actually an election event currently with IBC. So therefore, even for the general public, the far you can reach is very limited because you only do it during elections. So you can imagine the ones that are the marginalized, how much more they suffer. Secondly, it is heavily underfunded. I was talking to last week to one of the IBC staff in terms of the voter education, and you'd find that if you give something like 3,500 shillings per word for voter education before an election, what that would mean. So in terms of the marginalized communities, then what you need to, because resources are scarce, what I think first of all is that you can use technology as one of the ways of reaching out to the people the way they are doing it within the educational sector. You can use digital, for example, in terms of you can have apps. The internet penetration in our country is quite strong currently. We are one of the countries that got internet penetration, of course, with the limitation in the marginalized communities. You also, I think, developing an infrastructure of a grassroots organization, voter education or civic education grassroots networks that are there on a permanent basis. And the inclusion of voter education or electoral education within our curriculums, because it's part of a civic responsibility of citizens. So if you include that as part of our curriculum when they are doing civic lessons, that will assist in a major way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Said Atman, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Chair, thank you.
Thank you. I want to ask FCPA to ask you a question. FCPA, please.
Thank you, Chair, and Bwana Athman, karibu tena.
Asante.
Now, you've told us you have consensus, building skills. You've talked of planning, leadership, policy. So from where you sit, what governance structures and professional values will help you as a commissioner, if considered at IPC, to work together with your colleagues? What structures should be in place, and what professional values should you have that will help you as a commissioner to work with the rest of your colleagues? Thank you.
Thank you very much, FCPA Tanui. I think in terms of structures, that again is a collective responsibility. But we need to build structures that encourage trust amongst the various components of IBC, trust between trust within the commission, and trust between the commission and the management. Also, in terms of, I don't know whether that is structure, but the processes that you do, you require to have several frameworks in which you meet so that you talk to each other in a very honest manner. The kind of values that we are looking for.
So what are those mechanisms, the structures that you need to have at IBC? Examples, you can give examples that we need to have these.
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
First of all, because given the mandate, you require to have the committees, of the functions of the mandate of the committee, the function of the committee, as currently is, perhaps they need to be reviewed. You put it in the various committees that are there, that deal with the particular functions that are there, that drive various functions of the IBC, and then of course you also need to have those functions being monitored, those functions being audited, those functions being evaluated, and the values that you bring. First of all, is professionalism as a value. You require to bring the value of being honest to the mandate of the IBC. You follow the law, you follow the constitution, decision making within the IBC, and I think that's one of the challenges may be there. Required to be decision making that is transparent, decisions that are explained to the public and are owned by the public. You require to have also in terms of mechanisms in which the differences do not get out to the public. You have internal conflict mechanisms within the institution such that wrangles don't go out. You also require to have an open policy, communication policy with the public for what you do and the actions and the decisions that you have made. Yeah.
Thank you, Manatman, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I want to invite Evans Msati to ask you some questions. Evans, please.
Thanks so much, Chair. Said, I also want to ask you a question related to the information that goes out to the public.
Yeah.
When IPC engages the public, they can give them information, particularly on the mandate of the IPC as per Article 88.4 of the Constitution. And they can also give them information about the arms of government and their roles, the elected leaders, their roles in legislative representation and oversight. Among that information, which one of them falls under further education and which one of them falls under civic education?
I didn't get the question.
I'm saying when IPC is giving out information to the public, they can tell them about the mandate of the IPC, what they're supposed to do. And they can also tell them about the arms of government, the roles of the elected leaders. So that's part of them is civic and further education. So which one of them is further education and which one of them is civic education?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one about the role of IBC and about elections, that would be, and what you do during the elections and all that, that would be voter education. But the other one about different arms of government, how they relate, that would be more of civic education.
Yeah, that's good. So if you're given an opportunity and you're an IPC commissioner, please give 2 or 3 activities you give priority in preparation for the 2027 general elections.
Oh, yeah. I think the first priority is to resolve the issue of boundary delimitation. That has become a crisis at the moment. So that requires to be resolved one with the other, so that it is not the commission is not in default. The next thing is, of course, primarily dealing with the issues of the register, the register of elections. there are immediate things to be dealt with, the by-elections that require to be tackled. But I think towards 2027, which is a fairly short period of time, doing the necessary electoral reforms that will facilitate 2027 will be important. And for me, where I sit, I think that creating public confidence and trust within IBC is the single most biggest investment that the new team needs to do.
How can they do that? The building of the confidence. Which specific activities can they do to ensure that they build the confidence of the public?
I don't think there's a single activity that needs to be done.
And any that they can do to build the confidence. If you are a commissioner,
I think the first thing is to communicate openly to the public, to be extremely transparent of what you do, to accept the mistakes that are there, and of course the biggest trigger for that thing will be the good work that you guys have done, basically, because the outcome from this will contribute in a major way towards that confidence. Thank you.
Thanks so much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to ask Fatuma Saman to ask you some questions. Fatuma, please.
Thank you, Chair. Said, reflecting on the last elections, how would you improve the inclusivity in future when it comes to stakeholder involvement processes at the IEBC?
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. I think I would open up the processes of IBC much more than they were done, because they did very well. In me, having looked at various elections, I think the transparency level were much higher, in my opinion. But I think around the issues of technology, how the technology was procured, how the technology was operating, that became the biggest contention at those times. And also the workings inside IBC, the decisions, because again, the challenge was on the decisions that was made either by the chairman and the rest. So I would open up, create greater transparency, and make sure at every stage of, at every step you are doing, that the stakeholders are included, and the stakeholders are given opportunity to provide feedback at every stage, so that they are part of the journey that you walk towards the elections. So that's what I would do differently. Just create greater transparency, allow the stakeholders, of course, giving the necessary distance that is there of a conflict of interest, but allow the stakeholders to see and be part of those processes that you do. And even if need be, certain critical processes are audited externally by those stakeholders. Thank you.
Apart from your previous experiences in the transform process, leadership and all that, your skills as a survey person and planning, would they in any way contribute to the boundaries delimitation? Do you see anything you could do around that?
Yes, thank you very much. I think as urban and physical planning is really around planning spaces, bearing in mind geography of the area, population of the area, communities of the area. That's a core skill that I think would be needed at that particular thing, whether with me or anybody else. It's a core skill that I think I would bring to this table. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I wish you well. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you. I invite Nicodemus to ask you some questions.
Thank you, Chair. Side, from a leadership perspective, how does Article 73(1) of the Constitution inform the expected conduct of IEBC commissioners?
That's on leadership.
Yes.
And integrity. I think the commissioners are state officers, and we do have a very articulative and robust articulation of leadership. That leadership is a trust, basically, that is given to a person, basically. So I think when you are a commissioner, this trust is even much more, because the trust, the outcome of that trust can make or break the nation, and all those things that are articulated there, that you despite the fact that you may be having a different inclination, what you are called to do here is to serve beyond self. Basically, you are not a ruler, you are not a boss. You are just a custodian, and you are just a vehicle to achieve, to realize the aspirations of Kenyans. So that article and the provisions that are there, like for example, when it says that you have to be honest in your duties and declare where your personal thing conflicts with the public, I think it places a very high bar. So if I will be in the commission together with colleagues, I think we'll try and see how we can articulate that, and how that can be measured, and how mechanisms within ourselves we can put it to hold ourselves to account, basically having mechanisms so that when one of us falters, can bring back, or we can measure ourselves on a regular basis, how collectively we live towards that those standards.
Thank you, boss, and all the best.
Thank you.
Professor Adam Solo, please.
Thank you, Chair. Bwana Said.
Yes.
Imagine you're a commissioner. Don't even imagine, suppose we were to make you a commissioner, and you are expected to give strategic guidance. Side as man, a commissioner, what mechanisms would you use as a commissioner to provide strategic guidance while preserving the operational autonomy of the Secretariat?
Thank you very much, Prof. I think that speaks to the different roles between the Secretariat and the Commission. I think strategic guidance in this particular case refers to the broad direction within which the organization is supposed to go, the bigger milestones that are supposed to be achieved, to transform to operate within the Commission, as opposed to day-to-day operations. You leave the day-to-day operations to the management of the Commission. That's there. So the strategic guidance and the oversight role refers to policy direction that you provide.
Thank you. My last question on this segment. Still Commissioner Mutwana Said Athman. You are a commissioner, and you become aware that another commissioner, your colleague, has manipulated election data to benefit one candidate or one political party. How would you handle this ethically? It's a hypothetical question.
Yeah. It will be very unfortunate, but I hope by then we'll have established strong internal controls, strong standard operating procedures, and what you have just mentioned constitutes an election offense, basically. Yeah, really, that does constitute an election offense. So by that act itself, the person who has done that has exposed themselves. But within the commission, you have to demonstrate that you have got you have got procedures. Once something like that happens, that you go through, first of all, in terms of correcting the anomaly, and also in terms of consequence management of the person who has done that. So what we require to strengthen here are the internal procedures for to ensure that that is caught up early enough so that you correct the issue, that manipulation, while allowing the consequence management to take place.
Thank you, Chair.
Man, just before I come to Professor to ask you the last two questions, you're a 5 times state secretary in 4 different state departments, about 17 years or something like that going. It looks like there are good areas you can serve Kenyans. I'm still asking my question. This is a very onerous place and task you are seeking. What is it in you that is going to help us fix these elections so that you must move from you are at the top of the civil service? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, as you have rightly said, maybe then if it were the next level is purely appointive and is being a PS, and that's in the hands of other people, not in my hands, basically. But also because I've served, as I've said, I've served in the private sector, I've served in the people sector. Actually, my joining government was having aspiration that I would be able to change certain things within the policy environment of government. And the 3-4 departments I've been in, I've been able to do so. So I think for me, it is more of a service. When you talk about what are you leaving behind is in terms of person. You are leaving like creative, that's person. But this is not person. It's not benefit to the person. It's contribution to the country. As I've shared with you, Chair, and that the fact that I did contribute in my earlier life towards the Fungamano Initiative, towards the establishment of the Intelligence Council, these institutions that are now playing a great role, I think it's a natural thing to want to make other significant contribution in the country. Thank you.
Professor, please.
Chair, through you, can I just follow up something?
Yes, please do. Please do.
I ask my 2 questions.
Please do. Yes, please do follow up. Yes.
Say that, man. I see that you are 59. So naturally, you would retire at 60.
Yes.
Is this position that the chair is asking you a retirement?
No.
Settlement?
I think it's a good question, and I want to say that I actually applied for the first panel that was there. And
I confirm.
Yes, and I want to really thank the chair, Bwana Masati, and Commissioner Fatma for leaving to the national calling and holding that process, basically. So it began 2023, long before that period. It's got nothing to do with and other thing. But even beyond, the work I've done has been continuous work over a long period of time. Thank you.
Thank you. I now go to the session the chair calls high school questions. And one of the areas you first served in government was in culture and heritage. So I take you to what I would call your domestic. Which African country is known for its ancient pyramids apart from Egypt?
Oh, I was going to say Egypt.
And I knew you would go there.
Wow. Ancient pyramids, I think maybe
30 seconds.
Maybe Algeria.
My last question, which might not be very much in your mainstay, but I still make you some geography and landmarks.
Yes.
Name 2 African countries whose territory form part of the Sahara Desert. There are many, but just mention 2.
I think Chad and Sahrawi Republic.
Chad and?
Sahrawi Republic.
Do you want to try another one?
Algeria.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Is Sahrawi a republic?
It's a contentious one.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you want to make your final comments? And if you have any question, please.
No, I think Chair and the members really it's been nice. First of all, I need to express my admiration for this panel. I think from where I sit, you have raised the bar in terms of scrutiny for public candidates. That I hope that subsequent organs that do the same. And I wish you all the best in the work that you are doing. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you for coming and for the session we have had. We wish you well in this pursuit. Just to acknowledge that you have served for those many years in public sector, but we have received no memo on you. It speaks to who you are as a person, and we appreciate that very much. It's a good example. So we wish you well. You have your documents. Gentleman at the door will give them to you. The notebook and the pen are yours. Blessings to you. Thank you. Thank you. Who's the next? Okay, our next candidate is Saida Ali. Yeah. Saida Ali Aden. Okay, thank you. Welcome, Madam Saida Ali Aden. Karibu na uketi tafadhali. Please sit. Madam Saida, my name is Nelson Makanda. I'm the chair of this election panel. Allow me to thank you for showing interest in the position that we advertised, but also congratulate you for being shortlisted for the position that you applied. We will basically have a session of interaction with you to get to know you and assess your suitability for the position that you applied. But before that, let's get to introduce ourselves. Linda, please.
Good afternoon, Saida.
Afternoon.
My name is Linda Kiome. I am the vice chair of this selection panel, and I want to take this opportunity to welcome you for your interview session. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Saida, ujambo?
Sijambo.
Jina langu ni Andrew Tanui, mwanachama wa jopo hili la uteuzi, na karibu.
Asante.
Saida, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Caroline Kituku, welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning, Saida.
Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. I'm still in the morning, sorry. My name is Adam Solo. I'm a member of this selection panel.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Saida.
Good afternoon.
My name is Nicodemus Bore. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Assalamu alaikum, Saida.
Wa alaikum salam.
My name is Fatuma Ali Saman, a member of the panel. Please feel welcome.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Aiden, and karibu sana.
Asante.
My name is Koki Muli Grino, and I'm a member of the panel.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Saida.
Afternoon.
My name is Evans Misati. I'm a member of this selection panel, and we welcome you.
Thank you.
Now we come to you, and we would like you to introduce yourself, highlight those things in your profile that are significant for us to note, but also that are important for the role you have applied for. Mention if you're a member of any professional group or society, and if you have received any award in the course of your career or life. Karibu sana, and we take note that the members of the gallery that you came with, we appreciate their coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairperson, Vice Chair, and esteemed members of the panel. I am Saida Ali Aden. I hail from Mandera County. I am a finance, policy, and governance professional with over 13 years experience in financial administration, strategic advisory, and institutional oversight. My commitment to accountability, transparency, and ethical leadership align seamlessly with the core values of IEBC. And I will be excited and eager to contribute my expertise in governance, financial management, stakeholder engagement, and risk management to uphold the credibility and integrity of Kenya's electoral processes. Before I embark on my professional qualifications and professional experience in academic qualifications, I'd like to tell you something particularly interesting about my academic journey. Growing up, I was the kid who was obsessed with anatomy. I used to read anatomy books for fun. I was obsessed with medicine, not just the science, but the purpose behind it. However, through the influence of my family and being introduced to business from a very early stage, I grew a liking for numbers, and I pivoted more towards finance. To my surprise, I found in finance a discipline that is equally intellectually stimulating and rigorously fascinating to the depths I once saw in medicine. And this ultimately led me to pursue a PhD in finance. And today I'm ecstatic that I will get to be the doctor I've always dreamt in becoming, but a doctor in finance. I like to tell this story because...
Congratulations.
Thank you. I like to tell this story because sometimes when you're open-minded and you're willing to be adaptable, you might experience something that will give you more and greater achievements in life. Okay, let's go to my professional experience. I'm currently a senior technical advisor since February of 2024 in senior technical advisor in 3 major donor-funded projects attached to the Ministry of Fisheries and Blue Economy in Somalia. The major donor-funded projects are, one is World Bank. It is dubbed the Badmal Project. It's a project on Somalia's sustainable and fisheries development,
with a value of $100 million. The other project is for UNDP, and it's called the Blue Invest Project. It's being financed by the Somalia Joint Fund, and it's a decade-long initiative that is on investment with a value of $300 million. And the last one is a project of IFRC/AU. It's a project on nutritional resilience. It is a project that is focusing on 5 African countries: Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, Somalia, and Sudan. It is in the initial development stages, and it has a projected value of $1 billion. I'm also a board member. In these projects, my role in these projects is basically strategic oversight and financial advisory. Some of the key roles, I'll just mention some of the key roles I provide is like crafting and implementing financial strategies, ensuring donor compliance, strengthening the internal controls, and spearheading the fundraising process, and also ensuring the accountability and transparency throughout the programs, as well as I do capacity building and training for junior finance staff. At the same time, I also do advisory. I advise on policies that help to bolster the continuity and resource continuity and sustainability of the projects. Those are just some of the things I do for the projects. Alternatively, I'm also a board member since 2022 at the Kenya Institute of Special Education, where I chair the Audit and Risk Committee. Through my leadership for the years 2022 and 2023, we were able to achieve unqualified clean reports, and also the year 2023 and 2024. And hopefully this year we'll achieve the same clean reports. Okay, how did we do that? Just 3 ways. We implemented 100% implementation of the previous audit recommendation report. Another thing we did as the committee members of the board, we ensured that we have robust audit practices as well as risk frameworks in place. And then we also ensure that we are compliant with both the legal and the ethical standards. Through those 3 ways, we were able to get the unqualified reports for the 2 years that I've served as a board member. I'm also a board member of the Muslim Education Council. I serve as an executive member of the committee since 2020. And my role at the Muslim Education Council is purely voluntary. And it stems from my passion for education and a sense of having a sense of purpose for the community. But some of the things I do there include spearheading in inclusivity in education and educational reforms, in both ensuring that the academic infrastructure is good and teacher quality is up to par with within the council's jurisdiction. I also do the budget oversight and oversee the policy implementation to ensure that we are we fulfilling the ethical standards of the County Education Board. I also participate in nominating representatives to the County Education Board. Those are some of the things I do, and it is purely out of passion for education. The role is purely voluntary. Aside from these institutional roles, I've also maintained a vibrant consultancy practice since 2019, where I have provided strategic financial advisory and financial management for a lot of institutions, from NGOs, private entities, corporates, as well as public entities. Some of the key consultancies I've done are listed in my CV. I have also undertaken numerous trainings in audit and risk, in financial management from the Kenya School of Government, in leadership and governance, and in global international accounting standards, zero fault audit management, a lot of trainings. Being a board member chairing the audit committee, of course, I have undertaken a lot of trainings, and I believe from these trainings I've been able to acquire vital skills like emotional intelligence, strategic thinking, institutional oversight, financial management, delegation, teamwork, skills that I believe are vital for this IEBC role. Aside from that, I also speak 4 languages and currently learning the 5th. The 4 languages are English, Kiswahili, Somali, and Arabic. And the fifth one that I'm currently learning is the Kenya Sign Language, courtesy of the Kenya Institute of Special Education, where I'm a board member. And I believe these diverse linguistic capabilities will help me communicate effectively across divergent and varied contexts. For my academic, like I have just explained, apart from the PhD that I'm completing this year, I have an MBA in finance, which I completed in 2014 from the same institution, and an international business administration degree in management, which I completed in 2011. Additionally, I have done a diploma in Arabic and Islamic studies at the Islamic University of Kenya. I believe these skills and academic qualifications will help me, has helped me have a diverse background in business and both religious matters. Thank you.
Do you have any training in finance or accounts?
Training as in
finance,
certification or just
certification,
training?
a professional certification.
No, I don't have a professional certification. I'm actually in the process of acquiring one, but I have done numerous trainings.
Okay, what are you doing now to acquire one?
The certified financial analyst.
Okay. Linda, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Now, Madam Saida, you, in your career journey, have you worked in an high-stake, high-pressure environment, such as one that is usually experienced at the IEBC? And if you have your leadership skills been tried and tested? And you could also share such an experience with this panel.
Thank you very much for your question. Yes, I have worked for a high-pressure environment. I have been working in Somalia for the last 2 years. It's not easy working there. And working with the federal, you know, in Somalia, we have like regional states and the federal state. And having, like when the projects like we do with the World Bank, UNDP, are mostly through the federal government, but we have to ensure that the regional states are also incorporated in the projects, yeah? So there's this time that we were doing a project with the World Bank, and at some point, I think one of the federal presidents thought like they were not being included. And the project was, the World Bank project is $150 million. It just started last year, August, and we were working for the last 2 years during the proposal phase and all that, but it embarked last year, August. So it wasn't easy trying to put all the 5 federal states on board. And at one point, some people felt like in their region, they have this particular physical infrastructure or something that they need, and it's not being looked at. And trust me, it went to a level whereby we were almost abandoning the whole project. And I was just a finance advisor. I had to put that aside and wear my leadership hat and try to convince. Now it's like conflict resolution, whereby you're sitting with the federal president and other leaders, and you're trying to tell them that this is going to benefit Somalia in this way and that way, and this is how it's going to benefit your region, and you cannot get the same thing from this region like the other region. You have unique capabilities in your region that we can target, and another region has their unique capabilities. It cannot be the same across the board. And it took us a while. We were almost abandoning. The project was supposed to start in March. For almost 3 months, we were going through negotiations. At some point, I just felt like, I don't think this is going to work. But we really had to put that aside and just go and negotiate with them, try to find ways of getting this on board. And finally, in August, the project embarked and everybody was on board.
In addition to the skills that you have aforesaid, submitted about when you were introducing yourself, what personal attributes you have that you think shall be beneficial in the execution of your mandates as an IEBC commissioner? Personal attributes.
Thank you. The personal attributes I think I have, I don't know if you've seen in my certificates, like I'm a high achiever in all areas. Academically, I have been always top of my class, and I've always maintained, like, I have a problem with perfection. I just have to be the best in everything I do. So I believe that is what really motivates me and pushes me to achieve great things in life. Because when you really want to outperform and be a role model and do your best in everything, you always put, it's either I put in 100% or I just don't put in anything. I have no in between. I think that's my best personal attribute.
Oh, thank you very much, Saida, and I wish you the very best. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. I invite Karen Kituku to ask you some questions, Carol.
Thank you, Chairman. Saida. Article 38 of the Constitution provides for the right to vote of every citizen in a secret ballot. So there's why do you think this is necessary? The secrets, the way of voting by the secret ballot. Why is it necessary?
Thank you very much. Yeah, Article 38 is the right to universal suffrage. Yeah, I believe the reason to have a secret ballot will help with a lot of things. First of all, you can make your decision without being influenced. Like no one can intimidate you or force you to make a particular decision. You are doing it in secret. The other reason I believe is the importance of secrecy is you don't feel influenced by any way, or you don't feel like you want to make someone happy or you want to impress someone. You know, when someone is looking at me, I might get inclined to show them that I'm supporting you. But when they're not looking at me, there's no inclination. I will do what I feel my heart tells me to do. So I think that's also very important.
Absolutely. So it's to protect the expression of free will.
Yeah.
So what are some of these things that threaten that expression of free will?
Some of the things are like voter intimidation. You feel scared, like you feel your life is threatened if you go against this person's wishes. And then there's also things like bribery. Maybe you are given money and you want to show this person that you are supporting them because of the money they gave you. And even the intimidation is also part of the things that might make you change your vote to favor somebody else.
So should you become successful as a commissioner at IBC, how would you steer forward the commission to ensure that it protects at all time the right to vote through the secret ballot in order to protect the free expression of the will of the people?
Thank you. I think should I get this chance to ensure the right to vote in secrecy, the things we can do is, first of all, to ensure that the security of the voters is guaranteed, like the person feels safe from the time they walk into the polling station to the time that they are casting their ballots. Maybe the booth is also secure, and then the ballot papers are also standardized in a way that they cannot identify this person. You cannot know who voted what. I think things like that, security of the place, security of the individual, and the securing of the voting features and the ballot boxes being like secure. I think it's more about security. Once there's sufficient security, somebody is free to make their choice.
Thank you very much. I wish you well. Thank you, Chair.
I invite Fatuma to ask you some questions. Fatuma, please.
Chair, I was getting worried.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Madam Saida Aden, I want first to congratulate you for the achievements that you have made, and not just the fact that you speak 4 languages, but also that you are working in a country that you have just defined. And as a young woman, a Muslim woman, 36 years old, you are sitting at the decision-making table in that country. So congratulations. Really, I think that's wonderful.
Thank you.
So if you get to be a member of the IEBC, you will be required to ensure effective and smooth operations for the elections, this coming election. So I would like to request you to tell this panel and the people watching you specifically just the list of the effect, how you would, with your colleagues, ensure effective, smooth operations for the forthcoming general elections. Just the steps, what you do, 1, 2, 3, like that, to achieve that outcome.
Thank you very much. Some of the things we can do as the commission, if I get the opportunity, I think we will, first of all, I think we have a lacking in the continuous voter education. If we can improve on the continuous voter registration and voter education, because currently the voter registration happens just like 6 months prior to the general election. The voter education is not continuous, and we have a lot of gaps. Like, for example, the youth represent 75% of the population in Kenya, and only 40% had registered as voters. If we had improved on that, we will expect more youth who are currently being more involved in the political affairs. As you can see, the Gen Zs, we will expect more youth to register, and this might change the political dynamics of Kenya. So that's something we can improve, because we believe the youth will have a bigger voice if we can take up voting and registering as voters. Another thing is the technology. The technology has always been an issue. In this current budget for the IBC, I can see there's 62 billion that they're looking for, and it involves acquiring new KIMS kits, which are the current ones are obsolete, and they want to acquire new KIMS kits. So if we ensure that the technology being acquired is accurate, secure, verifiable, accountable, and it's going to fulfill all the 3 reasons, like the KIMS kit does the biometric voter registration, voter identification, there's the electronic voter registration, and then there's electronic transmission of results. So if we ensure that it will do all the 3 functions effectively, and it is going to be secure, verifiable, accountable, I think we can improve on the public perception and improve on the integrity, because right now the IBC is not viewed as being people of integrity, and the public trust is low. So if we can get the right technology, we can improve on that. And the right communication. Thirdly is the right communication processes. We involve stakeholders more, we communicate with them well, we make information available to the public that can improve the integrity and of the elections, and I think things will be better.
Thank you. And on the side of planning?
Yes, like the side of planning, I could say it's only now like 2 years to the elections that we are seeing the budget for the elections. Being a finance expert, okay, we know like elections in Kenya are held every 5 years, yeah? So if we can have a multi-stage budget whereby an aspect of the election can be budgeted for from year 1, maybe we know 5 years, yeah, we have elections. From this year, we are having this aspect that we want to do and wants to happen in 5 years, but we are budgeting for it now. Proper procurement in place prior. Like, you have to plan the finances prior and make sure like we have the budget for it prior. The procurement plans are there prior, and we also have an emergency funds, like a contingency fund, whereby if we have any issues with any emergencies, we have money to handle. But now it's only 2 years to elections. The budget is coming now. Maybe they might not get the money as quickly as they expect, and they might not acquire the technology and the materials as quickly as they expect. You know, sometimes when you are late in planning, you might also be late in decision making, and thereby making the wrong decisions, which will affect the overall outcome.
Thank you very much, Madam Aden, and I wish you all the best. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I want to ask FCP Attorney to also ask some questions. FCP, please.
Thank you, Chair. And Saida, I want to join my colleague Ambassador to appreciate your achievements at your age, and congratulations. Secondly, is also to appreciate the fact that you told us you've achieved 2 clean audit reports at KISA, and you are the chair of the audit committee. I want to pick up from the last response to Ambassador Koki's question, where you say that you are responding to a question on planning. And you did mention that you will ensure there is proper planning, adequate budget, contingency fund. Why are those elements not being achieved or being undertaken now at IBC? Why don't we have those measures that you are talking of at IBC? Or are they there and are they effective?
Okay, as to why they are not happening, of course, I cannot know the details because I'm not part of IBC, but I think, according to my thinking, I think it's because of they lack the capacity. They have all these plans, but they don't have sufficient funding and they lack such capacity. And maybe, I don't know if they are finance experts, but I believe having a finance person in the commission is very important because currently right now, a lot of the problems you're facing in Kenya, it has to do a lot with the economy and the money. And if we have a finance expert and people who can guide the commissioners in the right way, there's a lot of things that they can improve on. Like this budget that we have, what components? Do we really need it? There are some things like maybe they are being done. I feel personally that they are being done and we could do better on the costing, we could do better on the budgets, we could do better on resource mobilization. Because like, for example, even on the voter education, it is important if the voters can understand the extent to which the people we are electing have, like the powers they have in controlling the economy of Kenya. These people, together with the president, are going to be controlling a budget of 3 trillion. And do the voters know the magnitude that do they know like the people we are putting there are the people who are going to control 2 to 3 billion of Kenya's budget? So I think having the right finance people in the commission and in the secretariat is very important for the future of IBC.
Have you done your background on the current qualifications for the secretariat at IBC?
No, not on finance.
Not on finance? Okay. Incidentally, the CEO and I think the deputy CEO, they are all finance people. So maybe you, at the commissioner level, is where you will bring in the expertise.
Yeah.
But now moving to your area of specialization, you told us also you are a governance person. You also provide strategic advisory, institutional oversight. So what governance measures would you introduce at IBC to improve performance evaluation and risk management? I think I heard you mention about risk internal controls. I also heard you talking of risk management. So what measures would you introduce at IBC if offer an opportunity to improve performance evaluation and risk management? Thank you.
Oh, thank you for the question. What measures I would introduce in terms of performance evaluation are things like SOPs, standard operating procedures, and KPIs, key performance indicators. And then maybe we can have continuous appraisals for the staff and also for the commissioners, and things like audits, like being like accountability purposes, where we have continuous reports, monthly reports, quarterly reports. How are we performing? Are we doing good? Do we need improvement? And we do this on quarterly and yearly terms. I think those 4 things will help us evaluate performance. And for the risk management, now I don't want to go very deep because that's my area, but I'll just mention a few. Like if we have the risk framework in place, and we can have there are different kinds of risk that an entity can have. There's the financial risk, technological risk, political risk. There are a lot of kinds of risk. But do we have measures, risk mitigation techniques? Have we classified our risks to those ones that are on the red, on the amber, on the green? Like how deep can this risk affect us? Do we have a plan like mitigation measure? And how well prepared are we when we encounter such risk? Having a risk register and having the risk framework is very important when it comes to aspect of risk management.
Thank you, and I wish you well. Back to you, Chair.
Evans Misati, please.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Chair. Let me also take it from where my colleagues have left and ask you a question related to IPC. the governance structure of IPC. You are aware about the critical report, you have read it, and it happened during a 2007-2008 post-election violence. To date, we still have those problems at IPC. The critical report had highlighted structural weaknesses in IPC in the relations between the Commission and the Secretariat as a key challenge in electoral management. What are the root causes of these issues, and how will you address it if appointed as one of the commissioners of IPC?
Thank you very much for your question. Yeah, it's true that the Kriegler report, according to what I read, that identify the problems we have into three main areas: the electronical and electrical like system failures, the legal and regulatory failures, as well as the political and social failures. Those three are the three main areas that they highlighted. And they also gave recommendations that some of them have not been implemented. Some have been implemented, but not fully, according to what I feel. The things they recommended in the Kriegler report is especially like independence of the IEBC. They even recommended the complete overhaul of the commission and having new commissioners who are appointed people of integrity, people of good professional backgrounds, and people who are independent and can make the commission independent. We still have that problem, even with the previous commissioners. We could see like there was still having a lot of political influence. The commission lacked independence. And some of the things I would recommend or I will suggest are like strengthening the legal framework, because it is there. Their independence is guaranteed. But if we strengthen and enforce and introduce maybe penalties and strict measures and punitive actions to be taken with anyone who meddles with the affairs of the commission, I think we could get a better footing there. That will guarantee their independence. The other thing was the technological failures. Now the commission has applied to in the budget they have, they want to get new technology. So if we ensure that the technology that we are going to procure, if I get this chance, is going to be the technology that is secure, accurate, accountable, verifiable, that problem of technology we can complete and we can have a good.
I wanted us to focus on the issue of the management, the weakness in structural management between the commission and the secretariat.
Okay.
As one of the challenges in the electoral management.
Yeah, if we can ensure that there is clear guidelines in the roles and responsibilities between the commissioners and the secretariat, and their roles are understood and it is clear, because there's a thin line and it has always been a problem. So if you can ensure that there's a clear demarcation of roles and responsibility from the policy, which is done by the policy, and strategic oversight, which is done by the commissioners, to the implementation and administrative of day-to-day activities that is being done by the secretariat. If we can have clear demarcations for roles and responsibilities, I think that will help in the smooth running of the commission.
Thanks so much, and I wish you the best.
Thank you. I want to ask Thomas, to ask you some questions. Fatuma, please.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Saida, I want to join my colleagues to thank you for being a trailblazer. And as an educator, I always know it starts at high school. And seeing your certification and, seeing that you scored a straight A's is also something worth mentioning. And I think that set the pace for you. Coming to my question, if you get an opportunity to develop a new voter education program, how would you bring in the stakeholders' inputs meaningfully? The stakeholders at this, you talk about, let's say, the voters themselves, from all cadres. How would you bring them, how would you ensure that there is their input meaningfully?
Thank you very much for your question. First of all, it's important to identify the stakeholders. Like we have state actors and non-state actors. For the state actors is the government, the judiciary, the political parties, security forces. And then for the non-state actors, our biggest stakeholder as IEBC will be the voters and the people of Kenya, followed by the religious groups, the media, the international observers and all that. Now we've talked about voter education when it comes to the stakeholder inputs. First of all, it's very important to ensure like when we engage the stakeholders from both state and non-state actors. For example, if we engage the media, they can help in dissemination of information, and then we can use social media platforms to disseminate information, especially of the youth. We have 75% of the population of Kenya are the youth. So if we can use the right systems of technology, maybe the youth use TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. If we can really ride on that, we can cover a huge population of the youth, and hopefully we can increase our registration. Like I've read, currently the voter register, the IEBC is expecting to register almost 5.5 million new voters, expanding their voter register to 28 million. I think it can go beyond that if we can use the right technology and platform where we can get more youth to register. That is by engaging the media. And then when we can engage social groups and religious groups, by encouraging, for example, where we get youth leaders in the campuses, where we can have mobile registration, where we can target a huge number of the youth. Again, we can also target if we make like registration more accessible, we can target the people with disabilities, maybe, and the elderly, maybe by going through their homes instead of telling them to go to centers to register. And for the people with disabilities, if we can get an information from the National Council of People with Disabilities, you can get information on that. Also from the from the national and from this data like National Bureau of Statistics and all this, we can use that data to get to know who are the elderly, to get to know people who are disabled, and we target them and make the registration and the more accessible for them. And also for the marginalized group, like if we can improve on voter education, maybe people in the marginalized group, some of them are pastoralists. It's hard to know where they don't stick in one place. If we can have like mobile registration centers for pastoral communities, and even mobile places where education is being done, because you don't expect them maybe to have radio or to have good internet or whatever. So if we can have mobile places where they can get voter education and we can also do voter registration, we can target marginalized communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saida, and I wish you well. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you. I invite Nicodemus to ask you some questions. Nicodemus, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. I also want to join the rest in congratulating you at your age. You've been able to sit in very high places because of your academic qualifications and experience. You are currently the Senior Technical Advisor in Somalia for World Bank, UNDP, and IFRC projects, and are attached to the Ministry of Fisheries and Blue Economy, where you are responsible for supporting fundraising. With this experience, what, in your view, are the funding risks you foresee at the IEBC, and what recommendations can you give towards risk mitigation?
Thank you very much for your question. Just like I mentioned earlier, the risk I see with funding is when we don't plan early, we might encounter problems like not getting the allocations early. Therefore, this might mess up our whole procurement process. You know, if, for example, I want to secure, like for the technology, it's a requirement by the law that we need to get this technology, like we need to have it in place 60 days, 120 days prior to the general elections, according to the Election Act, and also deploy, test, and verify it like 60 days prior to the elections. So if you don't get the funding early and you don't procure the right technology early, we can end up not having the right technology in place because we need time to benchmark. We need time to go and test it. We need time to ensure that this is the best technology you're procuring. And I believe these are the reasons that the Commission has been facing. That's why we always have these technological challenges, because if we have the money and we have the right time to do all these things, we'll have the right technology in place. So the funding is a problem. And then the procurement, like when the IBC is in the current budget, they want to procure like secure ballot papers. So if the funding is not given early, when are we going to procure these ballot papers? Are we going to procure on time? We might end up not having these ballot papers with secure features. So funding is a big issue. And then also, like being a finance person, just like I said, it's important to have an emergency fund in place and a contingency fund. If we don't have the money, they might not have the contingency fund. So if problems occur, things like maybe floods, or we might have natural calamities, maybe a lot of problems can happen. There are a lot of risks that the whole country is voting on the same day. So a lot of risks are involved. Anything can happen. We might need to airlift some of the returning officers. We might need to send alternative or security officers. We might, if we don't have the contingency fund, if we don't have the emergency fund, and then the IBC will be blamed for election violence and things like that, So funding is a very important aspect when it comes to the Commission.
Thank you and all the best.
Professor, please.
Thank you, Chair. Saida, from a strategic policy perspective, how does the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act support the enforcement of integrity standards at the IEBC?
Thank you very much for your question. The Anti-Corruption Act basically enforces Chapter 6 of the Constitution, which is on leadership and integrity. And any person who has problems with leadership and integrity will basically have to face the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. So if the act is put in place to protect the people of Kenya and to investigate any person who has been accused of such integrity and leadership issues.
Thank you. My last question on this segment. Saida is made a commissioner, so it's a hypothetical question. Saida is a commissioner, and the media reports that Saida, because of achievements in the financial sector and the investments, failed to declare her stake in a company bidding for an IBC contract. It's hypothetical, so
yeah.
Don't think of any insinuation. We just want to see your thinking. If such was to happen to Saida or any other commissioner for that matter, what steps would Saida or the other commissioners take to rebuild credibility? It's a question of restoring public trust. That's what we are looking.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a very important question, actually. Normally in the boards, when we are having meetings, we have to declare personal interest. So I believe from the beginning, failing to declare personal interest shows lack of integrity. And this, of course, a punishment has to be, there has to be some enforcement in some way, because we are always asked to declare conflict of interest. And I believe even the commissioners will be asked to declare conflict of interest. So failing to declare that is lack of integrity. So this person has to be punished for that.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Prof, do you have some other questions? Two more?
Sure. Before I ask the two questions, you might have been wondering why I didn't join the others. To congratulate you for your milestones. I want you to know that we acknowledge, and also know that in that spirit, one of the millennials sits right here with us, so you are in good company. Having said that, this is the session in which, through the chair, we ask high school questions, which I think you are not very far from, given the people who are sitting in this room. And one of your areas is finance. So we don't ask the hard questions. We ask the questions that one can easily grasp in day to day. And Kenya changed her currency, not a currency, the currency notes. I know you are young, but we grew, and you grew at a time in which you go buying something, you see the president of the country right there looking at you, be it Kenyatta, be it Moi, be it Kibaki. Then the 2010 constitution said, let's change this and let's just look at how Kenya can prosper. So under which governor of the central bank was the currency notes that did away with presidential photos in the currency done away with? I'll give you leakage because you guys are very good in your phones. It was in Narok in 2019.
I actually don't know.
Okay, let me try another
I don't
one.
know his name.
Let me try another one that I'm very sure that you won't have to think very hard about. Name one major port city on the east coast of Africa. Just one.
East coast of Africa.
Yes. One major port city. They're nearly three.
The Lamu port.
Okay. You want to try another one?
Port of Mombasa.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. We want to appreciate the time we have shared with you and for the comments you have made. We applaud your achievement and have definitely learned a lot from your experience and your responses today. Do you have any comment or any question to make?
I just want to thank you for your time and consideration. The only thing I might say is, like being a youth from our pastoral community, I understand the value of hard work and perseverance. And if given the opportunity, I will bring the same kind of energy to the commission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We wish you well. You find your certificates with the gentleman at the door. The notebook and the pen are yours. Asante sana na shukran. And for those who are in the gallery, thank you for coming. Appreciated. Asante. Thank you. Okay, we have done our morning session, and media, shall be back at 2:30. We want to thank you for your time and support. Kindly enjoy your lunch. We will shortly join you. Thank you.